Hello there, and welcome to another one of my videos. Last time I said I was going somewhere, and this is where I went. As you can see, very different from Kansas. This is Alaska. I have honestly been planning this trip for a very long time now. And unfortunately, I couldn't take Biscuit with me. But I still got to see many different things that I've never seen or even done before. All different sorts of plants, and the animals are very different from what we have here in Kansas, that's for sure. It was truly amazing to see all the mountains and the coastline. If you didn't know, Alaska has more coastline than the rest of the US combined. And after being there, I believe it. It was absolutely amazing. We don't really have an ocean in Kansas. In fact, we are very, very far from any sort of ocean. And even though it was raining, it was still stunning. I can't quite describe to you that feeling you get when you see where the mountains meet the sea. It was beautiful. If you can't tell, I happen to really like nature around here, no matter where it comes from. I can honestly say the feeling of being surrounded by mountains is completely alien to me, but in a good way. Here in Kansas, there's technically a mountain named Mount Sunflower, but it is nothing in comparison to these tall, amazing mountains. There's also a lot more water in general up in Alaska. Some parts of Alaska get up to 60 inches of rain a year. And down here in Kansas, we can't imagine what that's like. It wasn't just land animals I got to see either, as Alaska has some of the most well-adapted sea creatures in the world. Perfectly adapted for this cold climate, no matter how small or not so small. Some of these animals are more famous than others, including the salmon. I'm sure you've heard about Alaskan salmon, and I got to see it for myself a little bit at the tail end of the salmon run this year. But it was still amazing to see them swim up the river so strong. The scenery was honestly unlike anything I've ever experienced before. So many creeks, rivers, and streams. Sure, we have them here in Kansas, but not to the extent that Alaska does. I honestly think that sometimes in life you need to experience something new in order to appreciate the old. And for me, part of this was in Alaska. I haven't traveled much in my young life, but I definitely enjoy being out in nature. So to me, this is one of the most perfect spots I could go to. And for me, one of the things that I haven't done before is climb a mountain. So that's what I did. It was honestly a lot different from hiking in Kansas. Much steeper, but still absolutely beautiful. In fact, I could even say absolutely breathtaking. And although it was probably one of the most challenging hikes I've done in my life so far, it was also one of the most worth it. I can truly say I've never experienced anything like it. from the mushrooms at the bottom and the ferns and the mosses to the rushing rivers and mountain rocks. It was incredible. Coming from a place that doesn't have a lot of large animals, this was also kind of challenging, in more ways than just up. I'm glad I can say that I didn't see a bear, and I'm also glad I can say that I'm not scared of seeing one anymore. Here in Kansas, we don't really have bears or large predatory animals in that sense. There are a few, however, don't get me wrong, and I can honestly say that a mountain lion or two would not be the strangest thing to find in Kansas. As for megafauna though, we don't really have that. I can say though that they both share large, sweeping, and vast views. Although I guess that depends on if you know where to go. It's honestly hard to imagine what it must be like to actually live there. And I've gotten to talk with people who do. To me, the mountains are always strange to see in the background, as I'm used to a flat horizon with not a lot of trees. But here, it's all trees and all mountains. That said, I happen to live in an area of Kansas called the Flint Hills, aptly named for its rolling hills and valleys. But a hill isn't a mountain. I learned that on this trip. Mountains are tall and vast, and the trees up there echo that remark. One of the things that still excites me are the amount of new things that I got to experience on this trip and to see, including the natural world and the man-made one as well. I've always loved winter and ice, and so I absolutely had to visit the Aurora Ice Museum. And it did not disappoint. All the sculptures and everything in there was expertly carved, and it's something I couldn't imagine being able to see where I live. Snow and ice depends on the year here in Kansas, and if we get some, then we'll get plenty, but nothing to this extent. We also don't have the Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights. It was incredible to be able to witness in person. Unfortunately, it doesn't capture well on video. Part of me was sad to leave, but I had a great time, and I learned and did so many different things. I don't know what my next adventure will be, but for now, I do know that it felt great to come home after such a long time away. And it helps that this is who I get to come home to. I don't think he understood what happened or where I went, but I think that's okay. Because what matters to him is that I'm here now. I hope that if you've made it this far, that you've liked what I've been able to express and show you. And maybe it'll give you the inspiration to take an adventure for yourself. So wherever you want to go, or whatever you want to do, just remember that you can, and that there is no place like home. I just had to make the reference. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye!